Hey guys, today I thought I would do my June wrap-up, aka the one book I read in June and the others I am currently reading. So the one book I did finish in the month of June was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, which was the next book in my Back to University project, TBR. This I read for the first time back in high school, and at the time it was probably like a 2.5, 3-star read for me. I just really didn't understand the hype around it. And I have to say not too much has changed because after I finished it this time, I ended up giving it about 3.5 stars. In case you somehow don't know, this is a book narrated by a man named Nick Carraway, who is originally from the Midwest and has moved to New York after returning from World War I to work, and basically lives in this very kind of upscale suburb of New York called West Egg. He lives next to a lavish house owned by the mysterious Jay Gatsby, who throws amazing, crazy parties every weekend and has a million people at his house at all times, and yet nobody really seems to know anything about him. Obviously, this is a very well-known classic. A lot of people think really, really highly of this, but quite frankly, I just don't really get the hype. I don't know if, like, the super rich white people problems in this book just don't interest me, but honestly, I was not particularly impressed. I will say that Fitzgerald writes atmosphere and ambiance incredibly well. I was particularly blown away by the scene at the Buchanan's house where it's really, really hot and everyone's just kind of really lazy and lethargic and they're just kind of laying around. Like, I felt like I could really feel the heat coming off the page, and I could definitely get a sense of the atmosphere they were in. But generally speaking, I didn't really find any of the characters compelling, though that might be the point. Nick, I feel like I enjoyed his character and I got more out of his character this time around, but I didn't really care for Gatsby. I didn't find him particularly intriguing. I didn't think his problems were particularly notable, and yeah, so it was just kind of an average book, so another 3 stars. So The Great Gatsby was the only book I completed in its entirety in the month of June, but I am still in the middle of a few things, first of which is Unaccustomed to Earth by Jhumpa Lahiri. I didn't really get into this at all last month. I read about half a story and then got distracted by other things, so I will be getting back to this in the month of July. And then I, of course, am still in the middle of Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens, which I'm reading for the hashtag Dickens Along, which is being coordinated and led by Katie from Books and Things. I don't really have an opinion on the plot quite yet, but I am starting to notice some pros and cons of reading it in a serialized fashion. The pro being that I find it very manageable. I think one thing I find intimidating about Charles Dickens is that all his books are quite chunky, so the fact that we're only reading a couple of chapters a month is quite doable and just takes away some of that intimidation factor. The con I'm finding is that I am already starting to confuse characters and forget what has happened in previous chapters. So I'm kind of concerned what's going to happen when we're about a year into the read-along. I feel like I'm going to be going back and skimming a lot of previous chapters. A book that I picked up right at the end of June was Number 9 Dream by David Mitchell, and this is something I heard about on Sabrina's channel, Sabrina from Unmanaged Mischief. She did a full review on this book, and I was incredibly intrigued. She kind of described it as the most Murakami novel she ever had read, by somebody who's obviously not Haruki Murakami. I am only about a chapter into this at the moment. It's quite weird already. I have never read a David Mitchell novel before, but from what I understand, he likes to deal with multiple plot lines or kind of multiple like alternate universes of the same general plot, and I'm very much finding that to be true in Number 9 Dream. So far, the first chapter was a lot of like alternate possibilities for how one situation might have occurred. So I'm actually really enjoying it. It's a little bit complicated and a little bit of a thinker, but I am enjoying this and I'm intrigued to find out how it progresses throughout the rest of the novel. And then I have one book here that I haven't actually started reading yet, but that I thought I would mention because it's going to be my next Back to University read, and that is Operation Shylock, A Confession by Philip Roth. Now, I have never read anything by Philip Roth. I haven't actually read this, so this will be a new read for me. I'm a little nervous because I have no idea what to expect, aside from the fact that it says, in this fiendishly imaginative book, which may or may not be fiction, Philip Roth meets a man who may or may not be Philip Roth. So I'm a little concerned about getting into this one, but we shall see how it goes. So that was the book that I read in June, as well as what I am currently in the middle of, and I know this is a quick little wrap-up video, but I just wanted to pop on and give you a little bit of an update on how my reading is going so far. I definitely didn't have the greatest reading month in June, but I'm getting back into the swing of things, and I'm starting to feel that need to read everything urge come back up again, which is great. So I would be really intrigued to hear what you guys think of The Great Gatsby. I'm one of the few people I know who have had very lackluster reactions to that book, so if you would like to share your thoughts with me in the comments, I would greatly appreciate it. But otherwise, that's all I have for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye!